Excerpts from the sources in praise of Zohar. Excerpt number 19 from the introduction to Zohar. The advantage of studying the book of Zohar is already known, as the Holy Ari said that one day of study in the book of Zohar and the secrets of Torah is worth a whole year of study in the Pshat. Excerpt number 20 from Sichot Haran. When he studied the Zohar, he cried much until he was rewarded with understanding. Excerpt number 21 from Pitrei Chochmah. In the introduction, it is written, "You shall meditate in it day and night." And it is not written, "You shall understand in it day and night." If you understand, understand. If not, the reward for your study is in your hand. The proof from the book of Zohar is that even though one does not understand, the language is a remedy for the soul. 22 from Or Tzadikim. One who has not been rewarded with understanding the Zohar should nevertheless study, because the language of the Zohar purifies the soul. 23 from Sichot Haran. It is known that the study of the Zohar is very, very beneficial, and one should know that by studying the Zohar, one receives a yearning, and the holy language of the Zohar awakens greatly toward the service of the Creator. 24 from Adir Baramom. Until the time of the assembly, although they were not connected with a covenant between them, but because it was a temporary, it was called a covenant in one column, meaning one tie. And now Rashbi wished to connect them to the second tie, to have a strong and fast connection, and the correction that will result from them will be a great correction. Already these 10 friends were truly connected in their root, in the 10 chasadim of Abba ve'Ima, as stated by the words of the Holy Ari, and Rashbi was the zzsolt itself that connected them. Now, in this correction of the assembly, the covenant was tightened with 2 ties, and from there on there is no Satan and an evil blemish.
Zohar
25 from Zohar to everyone. All those friends who do not love each other depart the world before their time. All the friends in Rashbi's time had love of soul and love of spirit among them. This is why in his generation the secrets of Torah were revealed. Rabbi Shimon would say, all the friends who do not love each other cause themselves to stray from the right path. Moreover, they put a blemish in the Torah, since there is love, brotherhood, and truth in the Torah. Abraham loved Isaac, Isaac loved Abraham, and they were embraced. And they were both gripped by Jacob with love and brotherhood, and were giving their spirits in one another. The friends should be like them and not blemish them. For if love is lacking in them, they will blemish their value above. That is, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which are Chagat.
Zohar
26 from Zohar to everyone. The Creator is destined to open the eyes, for there has never been wisdoms that would gaze upon the upper wisdom and attain what they did not attain in this world. So they would know their Master, Happy are the righteous who are rewarded with that wisdom, for there is no wisdom like that wisdom, no knowing like that knowing, and no adhesion like that adhesion.
Friends,
we are studying from Zohar to Everyone. Truma, donation, the second part. Bezalel knew how to join letters, from item 476. The lesson is based on Zohar to Everyone. You can download the books at cab.tv. You can order them at 1-700-509-209. Hello, we are reading from Zohar to Everyone, from Truma, donation, part 2. Bezalel knew how to join letters. You can watch at cab.tv and ask questions there too, and any questions related to the material will be asked during the lesson. Zohar to Everyone, Truma, donation, part 2. Bezalel knew how to join letters.
Let's try to be connected to one another, because according to the intensity of the connection between us, as much as we will want and try, according to our desire and trying, we will draw the reforming light between us. Please.
Bezalel knew how to join letters. 476. There are 2 letters in the word sin, chet and tet. This is why they were not written with onyx stones or setting stones, because those 2 letters were avoided in the tribes of Israel, so that chet, meaning sin, will not be written in them. 477. All the letters of the alphabet are hanging in the temple, in engravings of the holy names, tied and embroidered on it. And the whole of the world above and below were bounded and carved in letters. Atop them, the upper holy name, Havaya, was carved. 478. In the tabernacle, the letters were properly carved and depicted because Bezalel knew the wisdom to join the letters in which heaven and earth were created. Thanks to his wisdom, the tabernacle was built by him, and he was chosen from among the whole of the people of Israel. 479. As he was chosen above, the Creator wanted him chosen below. Above, it is written that the Creator said to Moses, "See, I have called by the name Bezalel." And below, it is written that Moses said to Israel, "See, the Lord has called by the name Bezalel." His name was called so in the upper one, Bezalel, which means Betzel El, in the shadow of God. And who is he? He is a righteous, Yesod, sitting in the shadow of God, who is called the upper God, Tiferet. And he, Bezalel, sits like that God, Tiferet. That God takes Vak, because Tiferet takes Vak, Hagat, Nehi, and that righteous Yesod takes them. Similarly, that God shines above, and this righteous shines below to the Malchut. That God is Tiferet, consisting of Vak, and the righteous too consists of Vak. 480. Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur. Ben Uri means the son of the first light that the Creator created in the work of creation. Son of Hur means son of Chirut, freedom of everything, the light of Bina, freedom. Another interpretation, son of Hur, means a son who is chiver, pale or white, whitened from all the colors, governed by the light of Chasadim, white. This is Bezalel, Yesod. He was appointed the staff of Judah, the Malchut, and all is as it should be, because the Yesod must be connected to the Malchut. Azur, 481. All the colors are good, if they are seen in a dream, except for the color azure, because she is a throne, Malchut, on which to sentence soul sentences. Is the degree of Malchut not white, receiving from Yesod, who is white, Chesed? However, when she is posed to sentence soul sentences, due to the inequities of the lower ones, she is in the color azure. 482. When a person sees the color azure, he is reminded to do all his master's commandments. It is like the bronze serpent. When it was seen, they would fear the Creator and keep themselves from any sin. And when this fear came upon them, they were promptly healed. Who caused them to fear the Creator? It is that serpent, that strap in which they looked. Similarly, it is written about the azure, for you to look at and remember all the commandments of the Lord, out of fearing Him. This is why there was azure in the tabernacle. 483. Azure is the throne of judgment. When Malchut is in that color, she is a throne on which to sentence soul sentences. Accordingly, when is Malchut in Rachamim? It is when the cherubim, zon, turn their faces toward each other and look face to face. Then all the colors are corrected. The color azure turns into another color, and the color green turns into the color gold. 484. Therefore, in turning the colors, Malchut turns from Din to Rachamim, from judgment to mercy, and from Rachamim to Din. It is all by the turning of the colors. As Israel established their corrections toward the Creator, so everything stands, and so it is arranged above. This is why it is written, Israel in whom I will be glorified, since there is the beauty of everything in those colors. You shall make a table. 485. And you shall eat and be satisfied, and you shall bless the Lord your God. How happy are Israel, because the Creator favored them and brought them near Him from among all the nations. For Israel, He gives His food and satiation to the whole world. Were it not for Israel, the Creator would not have given nourishment to the world. And now that Israel are in exile, it is all the more so. The world receives sevenfold, twice the nourishment and satiation, so that an extract of that will suffice for Israel. 486. When Israel were in the Holy Land, nourishments would come down to them from a high place. They gave an extract to the idol-worshipping nations, and all the nations were feeding on the extract. Now that Israel are in exile, the matter has been turned around in a different way. The food comes to the nations of the world, and Israel receive an extract from them. 487. There is an allegory about a king who made a meal for his household. As long as they do his will, they eat at the meal with the king, and and give the part of the bones for the dogs to chew on. When his household do not do the king's will, he gives the entire meal to the dogs and the bones to his household. 488. As long as Israel do their master's will, they eat at the king's table, and the entire meal is prepared for them. They give the bones of their joy, which is the extract, to the idol-worshipping nations. And as long as Israel do not do their master's will, they are exiled, and a meal is given to the dogs, while they are given the extract. As it is written, "Thus will the sons of Israel eat their bread, unclean among the nations, for they eat the extract of their abomination, their loathsome food. Woe unto a king's son who sits and waits for the servant's table, who eats what is left of his table." 489. King David said, "You set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup is full." You set a table before me is the king's meal. In the presence of my enemies, meaning the dogs that sit under the table and await the part of the bones, while he sits with the king at his table in the delight of the meal. 490. You have anointed my head with oil is the beginning of the meal, when all the oil, the grease, the correction of the meal is placed in the head for the king's loved one. And what remains is given to the dogs and to those who serve at the table. My cup is full. The cup is always full before the king's loved one, and he need not ask. Indeed, Israel has always been in that relation with the rest of the nations. 491. But be merciful to the sons of Barzillai, the Gileadite, and let them be among those who eat at your table. According to that, all the chesed, grace or mercy, and truth is to eat at his table and nothing more. As it is written, "And let them be among those who eat at your table." Moreover, is it not beneath the king's honor for another man to eat at the king's table? And it should not be so, but only the king, and around are all his ministers below him. 493. Who gives bread to all flesh, for his mercy, chesed, is forever. What did David see that he ended the great praise this way? There are three rulers above, by which the Creator is known: brain, heart, and liver, which are Bina, Zeranpin, and Malchut. They are the opposite of this world, of the awakening from below that rises from this world. Above, the brain takes and gives to the heart, and the heart gives to the liver, and the liver gives a part to all the sources below, to each as it deserves. Below, through an awakening from below, the liver, Malchut, takes the awakening first, brings everything toward the heart, Zeranpin, and the heart takes the best of the foods and strengthens by the power and will that he took, giving and awakening to the brain, Bina. At that time, the abundance pours out from Bina to Zeranpin, and from Zeranpin to Malchut, the liver. Then the liver returns and dispenses food to all the sources of the body, which is the three worlds, Bia. 494. On the day of the fast, the person offers food and drink to the upper liver, Malchut. He offers his fat, blood, and his will. The liver takes everything willingly. Once it has everything, it offers everything before the heart, Zeranpin, who is great and governs him. Once the heart takes and strengthens in the desire, he offers everything to the brain. Bina, who is the upper ruler over the entire body, Zeranpin, and the abundance returns from Bina to Zeranpin, from Zeranpin to Malchut, the liver, then the liver returns and dispenses parts to all the sources, and the organs below in Bia. 495. While the abundance is poured down from the awakening from above, the brain receives all the abundance first, meaning Bina, from which it is above it, the Chokhmah. Then it gives to the heart, Zeranpin, and the heart gives to the liver, Malchut. The liver gives to all the sources and organs below in Bia, and when it wishes to dispense food to the world, it first gives the best and most beautiful of the abundance to the heart, which is the king in the land, the king of Israel. The king's table awakens first, to receive before the rest of the people of the world. Happy is he who is counted in the king's table, for he is known above, to be benefited in that good that is above, which the king receives. 496. It is true that David did for the sons of Barzillai, as it is written, "And let them be among those who eat at your table." No other person eats at the king's table but him, but the king eats first, and then the rest of the nation. And those who eat with the king while he is eating are loved by him more than anyone. They're the ones appointed to be from the king's table. 497. But it is written, for he always ate at the king's table. Does that actually mean his table? Rather, because all the food is his, he is counted among those who eat at the king's table. He did not make another calculation, but only for the king's table, from which his food and nourishment would come. This is the meaning of, for he always ate at the king's table. 498. The friends sat down to eat. They said, each shall say a word of Torah on this meal. Rabbi Isa said, it is a small meal, and this is why it is called a meal. Moreover, it is called a meal that the Creator enjoys. This is why it is written, this is the table that is before the Lord, for words of Torah will circle that place.
Questions, please. Okay, so we'll continue. What Rachamim do you want to ask already?
Is the Holy Zohar the corrected vessel?
I don't know. Yes.
Friend from Israel is asking, what do we do when we reach a point where we don't know what to ask for during the Zohar, but we're still making an effort to be connected and trying to feel that the Creator is filling the place between us?
Right. During the Zohar, there's not a whole lot what to ask for because people are incorporated in the perfection that comes from this book, and that's enough. Incorporate in that. Let's continue.
And you shall eat and be satisfied and bless. 499. And you shall eat and be satisfied and bless the Lord your God. And before a person eats until he is satiated and his stomach is full, does he not bless the Creator? Why does it write, and you shall eat and be satisfied, and then and bless? Rather, if a person eats as much as an olive, wishes for it, and regards that food as his main dish, he is considered full. As it is written, you open your hand and satisfy the desire of every living thing. It does not write the eating of every living thing, but the desire of every living thing. This means that the desire that one puts into the food is called satiation, even when there is only as much as an olive before a person. But he has put it into a desire of satiation. This is why it is written, and satisfy the desire of every living thing. It writes desire and not eating. This is why and bless, meaning that one must bless the Creator to give joy above. 500. And you shall eat and be satisfied means that a drunk is permitted to bless for the food. But in prayer, a drunk must not pray because the prayer is good without eating, since the prayer rises to a place in which there are no eating or drinking, to bina. It is said about it that there are no eating or drinking in the next world. But in the rest of the degrees below, there are eating and drinking. 501. In the blessing for the food, it follows that a blessing out of satiation is good because the blessing for the food is in a place where there is eating and drinking, in Malchut, from whom food and satiation come down below. For this reason, one should display satiation and joy before him. But it is not so in a place where the prayer reaches, because it rises higher to Bina, where there are no eating or drinking. This is why a drunk will not pray a prayer. 502. A drunk is permitted to bless the blessing for the food, as implied in the text, and you shall eat and be satisfied and bless. And you shall eat means eating, and be satisfied means drinking, because one who is full of wine is satiated, and this is the drunk. It is written, and bless the Lord your God. The implies Malchut, in whom there are eating and drinking. It means that the blessing for the food requires joy and satiation, from the words onto the good land. Good means satiation, as it is written, and we will be satisfied with bread and be well. This is why we need joy and satiation. You shall make a table. 503. You shall make a table. A table stands inside the tabernacle with a high blessing upon it, and food for the entire world coming out of it. This table need not be empty for even a minute, but food should be on it because there is no blessing on an empty place. For this reason, there must always be on it so that the high blessing is always in it. From that table, blessing and food go forth to all the tables in the world, which are blessed thanks to it. 504. So should be the table of any person before him when he blesses the Creator. So there is blessing on it from above, and it will not seem empty, for the blessings above are not present in an empty place. As it is written, tell me, what do you have in the house? 505. It is written about a table at which no words of Torah were said, that all the tables were filled with feces, vomit, so there was no room. It is forbidden to bless at this table, because there is a table and there is a table. There is a table that is set before the Creator above, Malchut, which always stands so that words Torah will be set up in it, and include letters and all the words of Torah in it. It collects them to the Creator, includes all of them within it, is completed in them, and rejoices. And it has joy. It is written about such a table, this is the table that is before the Lord, who is Malchut, and not from before the Lord above Zeranpin Bina. 506. There is another table in which there is no part of the Torah, and which has no share in the sanctity of the Torah. This is the Malchut of the Klipot. That table is called feces, vomit. It has no place, since it has no part at all in the side of Kedusha, holiness, sanctity. For this reason, a table in which no words of Torah were said is a table of feces, vomit. It is a table of another God. In this table there is no part in the upper God. 507. A table on which words of Torah were said, the Creator takes into his lot. Moreover, Sulia, the appointed minister, takes all those things and places the form of that table before the Creator. And all the words of Torah that were said by it rise on that table and crown before the Holy King. This is implied from the words, "This is the table that is before the Lord, who was crowned before the Creator." A man's table is poised to purify a person from all his sins. 508. Happy are those who have words of Torah at their table, who give to the poor from that table. When a table is raised before a person, two holy angels come from the right and from the left. One says, "This is the table of the Holy King, which so and so has set before him. This table will be set with high blessings, and the Creator will place on it oil and high greatness." And another angel says, "This is the table of the Holy King, which is so and so has set before him, which upper and lower bless. This table shall be set before Atik Yomin in this world and in the next world." 509. When a table was cleared before him, he would cover it and say, "Clear the table discreetly, so it is not shamed before the king's messengers." A person's table rewards him with the next world and rewards him with food for this world. It also rewards him with being known favorably before Atik Yomin, and rewards him with adding power and greatness where needed. Happy is that man in this world and in the next world. 510. It came about when all who knew him previously saw that he prophesied now with the prophets. And the people said to one another, "Is Saul also among the prophets?" But Saul was the Creator's chosen before. As it is written, "Do you see him whom the Lord has chosen?" It does not say who is choosing, but has chosen, meaning previously. So why were they surprised when he came among the prophets and prophesied? 511. When the Creator chose him, he chose him only for kingship, but not for prophecy, since those two were not given to anyone together except for Moses, the high trustee, who was rewarded with both prophecy and kingship. 512. Was Samuel rewarded with both prophecy and kingship? It is not so. He was rewarded with prophecy, as it is written, "And all of Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet, not a king. He was a prophet and a judge, for if he were a king, Israel would not be seeking a king. But he was only a faithful prophet, judging the judgments of Israel. As it is written, and he judged Israel. For this reason, when Saul was in prophecy, they were surprised about him. 513. Since he was rewarded with kingship, why was Saul rewarded with prophecy? Indeed, he was not rewarded with both of them together. And because kingship settles only over an awakening of the spirit of holiness, and not in prophecy, he was initially in the awakening of the prophecy. But when he rose to kingship, there was no prophecy in him, but an awakening of a spirit of intelligence to judge a true judgment has awakened upon him, befitting a king. While he was still among the prophets, prophecy was upon him. But once he parted them, there was no prophecy in him. 515. You shall make a table. Is a table below, on which to place the baking bread. Which is more important, the bread or the table? After all, they are not one. Since the table is set for the bread, the table is below, and the bread is upon it. But the table is the more important, in being set to receive blessings from above and food for the world. Food goes forth to the world from this table, Malchut, as was given to it from above.
516.
Bread is fruit and food that goes forth from the table, to show that fruits, offshoots, and food go forth from this table to the world. If there was no vineyard, there would be no grapes, which are the fruits that come out of it, If there was no tree, there would not be fruits in the world. This is why the table is the more important, and food that comes out of it is the showbread. 517. The priests would collect the fruits of the table from the eve of the Sabbath to the eve of the Sabbath, to show that the upper food comes out from that table. And because of that bread which the priests would gather, any food that they ate and drank was blessed. So the evil inclination would not slander in them, since the evil inclination is present only in eating and drinking. It is written, "Lest I were a fool, and deny and say, Who is the Lord? For by eating and drinking, the evil inclination multiplies in a man's intestines."
518. This bread, the food that comes out of the table, blesses the food of the priests, so there will not be a slanderer over them to slander, and so they will serve the Creator wholeheartedly. The priests need it more than the rest of the world. For this reason, the table, Malchut, is the more important, and the fruits and food that go forth from it are that bread, the showbread. 519. This setting of this table should be established on the north side, left, as it is written, "And you shall put the table on the north side," since there is the beginning of joy. It is so because the left always receives from the right first, and then awakens and gives to the nukva, the table. Then the right approaches the nukva, and she clings to it. 520. The Zohar brings evidence and says, "Water is from the right, chasadim, joy." The right immediately gives the water to the left, and the water clings to it and delight it. For the chokhmah in the left dresses in the chasadim of the right. Once it is included in the right, it evokes the nukva with that joy, giving to her chokhmah that is included in chasadim. Your sign is the washing of the hands. For one who washes the hands in a vessel takes with the right hand and places on the left hand. Then the first to pour is the left over the right hand. And not that the water comes from the left to the right, since the left received the water from the right hand. 521. For this reason, the water, chasadim, is found only in the left, to be included and to complement the chokhmah on the left. Once the water is taken to the left, it awakens and pours out to the nukva. This is gvurot of rains, since although the water is chasadim from the right, it comes only from the left, which is gvura. Therefore, you shall put the table on the north side, since on that side there are more fruits from the right, by first awakening in his joy that of the left, as it is written, "His left is under my head. Afterwards, and his right shall embrace me." 522. One's table should be clean, so that the body will not approach eating its food unless when in it itself is clean. For this reason, one must first clear himself out before he eats the food on the pure table, since that food which he prepared for himself, the Creator wants it, so he will not approach the table of feces, vomit, from the sitra achra. Thus, the sitra achra will not receive anything from the food on this table. 523. Once a person has eaten and been delighted, he should take the part of the extract to the klipot. This is the last water, the filth of the hands, that should be given to that side, which is the part that needs it. Therefore, they are certainly a must, for they are a debt and are present in a place of debt, the klipot, which is a part that man is obliged to give him. This is why there is no need to bless for the last water, since there is no blessing on that side. 524. Thus one should beware not to give food on one's table to feces vomit, and much less in his intestines, which should be clean. Moreover, it is good for a person, for health, and for mending his body. Hence, the table is for eating on it in purity. 525. This table, which stands in the temple to have food on it and to extract food from it, hence it should not be empty for even a moment. The other table, that of the Sitra Achra, is a table of emptiness and need not be given a place in a holy place. This is why the table of the temple will not stand without food for even a moment. Also, there must not be a place of deficit, because there is no blessing above in a place of deficit and lack. This is the table before the Creator. The table on which a man blesses before the Creator should also not be empty, because there is no blessing in an empty place. 526. The bread on the table, Malchut, of the Creator is 12. The bread is the panim, the face. The 12 faces in Zeranpin Chug Tum, the 4 faces of the animals, ox, eagle, lion, man. Each consisting of the 3 faces, lion, ox, and eagle. Thus they are 12 faces. This is why it is called the bread of the face, showbread, since the food of and provision of the world, Malchut, comes from these upper faces of Zeranpin. For this reason, this bread is the internality of everything, the food of Malchut, and it is in the upper secret of Zeranpin. 527. The showbread in the temple is the food of those faces in Malchut, meaning it extends from her food which she receives from the 12 faces of Zeranpin. The food and provision that comes from out of the world come from them and are over the table in the temple. Also, the table, Malchut, receives food and provision from those upper faces, the 12 faces of Zeranpin. Malchut brings forth food and provision from those inner faces of Zeranpin. And the food that she brings forth is the bread in the temple. This is why it is called the bread of the face. The bread is offered on the table and is taken from there. And because of that, one should keep the secret of his table in all the manners we have mentioned. 528. The Creator created the world wisely, making it with great craftiness, blowing the breath of life in it, to know and to regard the secrets of the wisdom, to know the honor of his master. As it is written, everyone who is called by my name, and whom I have created for my glory, whom I have formed and even have made. The glory below, the holy throne, Malchut, was established above only through the corrections of the dwellers of this world. 529. When people are righteous and pious, knowing how to correct corrections for the glory, Malchut, as it is written, whom I have created for my glory. For this glory of mine, so it is established with strong pillars, Chagat, to decorate it with corrections and decorations below, so they raise man from below, to extend mochin to her, which are called decorations, so that my glory will rise thanks to the righteous in the land. 530. This is why I have created it similar to the upper glory, Binah, who returned to being Chokhmah. As this Chokhmah is called 32 paths of Chokhmah, and glory is 32 in Gematria. In these corrections in it, there is Bria to the left line in Binah, from which the Chokhmah extends. Therefore, when a person is in the land and should correct my glory, Malchut, I have made corrections of the upper glory in it, Binah, so that a person will have Bria as well. This is the reason why whom I have created, which is Neshama. 531. In the upper glory, Binah, there is Yetzirah, the light of Chasadim, and Ruach, which extends from the right line in Binah. Therefore, it is written, whom I have created, placing a correction in the man, so he will be in the land similar to the upper glory, Binah. In the upper glory there is Asiyah, the Malchut, the Nefesh. For this reason it is also written about man, whom I have made, to be like the upper glory, correcting and blessing the lower glory, Malchut. We should understand how it is possible for the lower man to give Naran to Malchut, the Atzilut. For it should have been the opposite, that the lower man has nothing unless he receives it from the Malchut. You will understand the issue that it is impossible for the lower man to receive anything from Malchut before all the upper degrees are made great by him. Moreover, the extension that he extended remains primarily in the upper ones, and only a branch of it reaches man. Accordingly, when a person extends Naran from Binah, which are Naran of Neshama, their Naran are first given from Binah to Malchut, where they remain as the majority of the light. And Malchut only gives 3 branches of Naran to the man. Thus the lower man has given the roots of his Naran of Neshama to the Malchut. It was said that the man is like the upper glory, Binah, who corrects and blesses the lower glory, who gives the Naran to the lower glory, Binah, where it is not for man who extended those Naran, Binah, who has nothing to give to Malchut. Moreover, those Naran that Binah gave to Malchut are really the man's who extended them, and they are actually the roots of his Naran, which he remained in Malchut.
והם השורשים של נרן שלו ממש, שנשארו במלכות. ועל כן נבחן...
This is why it is considered that man gave them to Malchut. Which is why the Creator said, since man is in the land and should correct my glory, Malchut, I have made in him corrections of the upper glory. It means that he has made in him corrections so he may extend the Naran of Neshama from the upper glory, by which they are poured out and remaining in their root in the lower glory is corrected. 532. How do we know that there is Biyah in the upper glory, Binah? It is because it is written in it, who forms light and creates darkness, who makes peace. Who forms light is Yetzirah. Who creates darkness is Bria. For since it is in the left side of Binah, there is darkness there before it clings to the right line. Who makes peace is Asiyah. Since Yetzirah is Zeranpin in Binah, the middle line. Through the Asiyah in it, where there is the Masach of Chirik, he makes peace between the 2 lines right and left. This is the upper glory, which corrects, blesses, and provides for all the needs of the lower glory, Malchut. 533. Just as the upper glory, he created man on earth to be established for his honor, Malchut, so she consists of all the sides. This is so because there is Biyah in the upper glory and there is Biyah in man below. By that, this glory, Malchut, will be included from above and from below, from Binah and from man, and will become complete on all sides. Happy is a man who was rewarded with being like that in all his actions. 534. It is written about it, let your clothes be white at all times, and let not oil be lacking on your head. As no holy anointing oil is lacking in the upper glory, meaning abundance from Abba, which is intended for the next world, Binah, so the anointing oil, the abundance of Abba, should not be lacking in a man whose work are always whitened. 535. By what is one rewarded with being refined in the upper Eden, abundance from Abba, at his table? As he delights the souls of the poor at his table, as it is written, and satisfy the souls of all the afflicted. After that it is written, then you will delight in the Lord. For the Creator, too, satiates him with all those refinements of the oil of the upper holy ointment, which always pours out and extends to the upper glory, as it is written, and satisfy the soul of the afflicted. And subsequently it writes, then you will delight in the Lord. Time to do for the Lord. 536. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Chia were walking along the way, and a donkey driver was leading the donkeys behind them. Rabbi Yossi said to Rabbi Chia, we should engage and exert in words of Torah, because the Creator is walking ahead of us. Hence, it is time to make corrections for him, so he will be with us on this way. A donkey driver stings the donkey with a piece of wood to make them walk faster. Therefore, they interpreted that it should be the donkey driver. 537. Rabbi Chia started and said, it is time to do for the Lord. They have broken your law. Because at any time when the Torah exists in the world and people engage in it, seemingly the Creator is happy with the work of His hands. There is joy in all the worlds, and heaven and earth maintain their existence. Moreover, the Creator gathers His entire household and tells them, see the holy people that I have in the land. Thanks to them, the Torah is crowned. See the work of my hands, of whom you said, what is man, that I should remember him. And they, when they see their master's joy with his people, they promptly start and say, and who is as your people, as Israel, one nation in the land. 538. And when Israel idle away from Torah, he seemingly fades. As it is written, you neglected the rock who begot you. And then it is written, and all the host of heaven stand. Hence it is time to do for the Lord. For those the righteous that remained should muster their strength and do good deeds, to strengthen the Creator with the righteous and with His camps and armies, since they have broken your law, and the people of the world do not engage in it properly. 539. The donkey driver who was leading the donkeys behind them said to them, please, I would like to know one question. Rabbi Yossi replied, certainly the road is set before us. Ask your question. He said, had this verse said, it should be done or it was done? I would say so. But what is time to do? Also it is written, to do for the Lord. It should have said, before the Lord. What is to do for the Lord? Rabbi Yossi said, the road is set before us in several ways. One, that we were two, and now we are three. For divinity has been included with us. One, that I thought that you were as a dry tree, while you are as fresh as an olive. And one, that you asked very well, and since you have begun the matter, do speak. 540. Time to do for the Lord, since there is a time and there is a time. A time to love and a time to hate. A time above faith, malchut, which is called time. This is called the time of goodwill. And it means that man must always love the Creator, as it is written, and you shall love the Lord your God. In that regard, a time to love is a time when one must love. 541. And there is another time, which is another God, which one must hate and not follow him with his heart. Hence, a time to hate. And this is why it is written, tell your brother Aaron that he shall not enter at any time into the holy place. 542. When Israel engaged in Torah and in the mitzvot of the Torah, a time, the holy faith, malchut, is corrected in her corrections, and is fully adorned in it as it should be. And when Israel do not engage in Torah, at that time it is seemingly not corrected and incomplete, and not in the light. Then it is time to do for the Lord. 543. What is time to do for the Lord, as it is written that God has created to do? What is to do? It means that bodies of demons remained which were not done, because the day has been sanctified, and they remained to do because they are spirits without bodies. Here too it is time to do. The time remains without correction and without wholeness, because they have broken your law, for Israel have been idling away from words of Torah, for that time is so, either ascending or descending for Israel. If they engage in Torah, it ascends, and if they idle away from the Torah, it descends. 544. Rabbi Yossi said, "It is indeed beneath you to lead the donkeys behind us. Blessed is this path that we have been blessed to hear this. Blessed is the generation that Rabbi Shimon is in. For even amongst the youth, wisdom is there." Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Chia came off their donkeys, and they all three of them walked together on the path. A time of goodwill, 545. The donkey driver started and said, "And my prayer is to you, O Lord, at a time of goodwill. O God, in your great mercy, answer me with the truth of your salvation." When is it called a time of goodwill? When the public prays, since then the public arranges and establishes the correction of time. Then it is a time of goodwill, and one should ask requests. As it is written, "O God, in your great mercy, answer me with the truth of your salvation." 546. And my prayer is to you, O Lord. Here there is the matter of unification, and is King David, Malchut, a place called redemption. Malchut when she is connected to Yesod. My prayer is the prayer in juxtaposition to redemption. They are one, for both are considered Malchut. When attaching redemption to prayer, it is a time of goodwill, one whole together. The time is one, Malchut, the desire is one, and appears from the Keter, and they are included in one another, and become one. In this verse, King David wished to make one unification. 547. Why was this verse appointed to be said at the Sabbath afternoon prayer? It is because during the week, the judgment of the world depends on the afternoon prayer. And it is not a time of goodwill, but on Sabbath, when all the anger has been lifted and everything is included together, when the judgment and the chesed are one, the din has awakened to be performed, to be perfumed, to reveal the sweetness in it. A verse of unification is required to unite all the degrees. It is so because when there is unification, the din is connected and included in rachamim, and everything is perfumed. Then it is written, a time of goodwill, when all din and chesed are mingled together. At that time, din is perfumed and there is joy in everything. 548. Moses departed from the world during the afternoon prayer of Sabbath, at a time of goodwill. At that time, there was goodwill above and sorrow below for Moses' demise. For this reason, on Sabbath, the gates are locked from the time of the afternoon prayer onwards, as well as the gates of the seminary, to remind of Moses that the Torah was cancelled because he passed away. 549. When he passed away, Moses' seminary was cancelled. It is even more so for the other seminaries. Who saw the gates of Moses' seminary being locked without all the others being locked? When Moses' Torah mourns him at that time, who is not mourning? For this reason, all the gates of the seminary were locked, and everyone must justify the Creator in praise. This is the meaning of your righteousness is like the mountains of God, which we say at that time. 550. Three parted from the world at that time, and all are included in Moses. Moses, Joseph the righteous, and King David. This is why there are three justifications for the judgment here. First, that righteous Joseph is before all the others. It is, your righteousness is like the mountains of God, your judgments are like a great deep. Since Joseph, Yesod, consists of all the upper mountains, Chagat Na of Zeranpin. Second, Moses is the faithful prophet. This is the meaning of what is written, for your righteousness, O God, reaches to the heavens. You who have done great things, since he is Zeranpin, the middle line, which takes the right and left sides and decides between them. And the third is King David, which is the meaning of the words, your righteousness is righteousness for the world, and your law is true, meaning Malchut, which is called world. 551. At that time, everything is gathered, the written Torah, Moses, and the oral Torah, David. Hence, at that time, the gates of the Torah are locked, and all the gates of the world are locked. When the righteous Joseph died, the sources and springs ran dry, and all the tribes fell into exile. The upper ones started and said, your righteousness is like the mountains of God, your judgments are like a great deep. When Moses died, the Lord of the sun, the light of the sun went dark at the noon, and the written Torah was locked, meaning the light of the illumination mirror. Zeranpin, when David died, the moon Malchut gathered her light, and the oral Torah gathered her light. 552. Since that time, the lights of the Torah have been hidden, dispute increased in the Mishnah, and all the brave heart are perplexed. Therefore, there is no joy of Torah at that time in all the generations of the world. Wisdom strengthens the wise. Does someone want to ask something, please? Yes? Rav, if possible, please, what is at the time where the public prays, for then they sort and they correct? Usually, seemingly, man prays for the public, and here it's seemingly the public is the action of the public. That's how it seems to me, maybe, I don't know. Let's continue. Wisdom strengthens the wise. 553. Wisdom strengthens the wise more than 10 rulers who are in the city. Wisdom strengthens the wise is Moses. When he ascended to Mount Sinai to receive the Torah, all the firmaments and all the camps of upper angels were shaken. They said before him, Master of the world, all of our good and all of our joy are only in the Torah, and you wish to lower it to the earth. They gathered around Moses to burn him in the fire. Moses was strengthened. 554. Anyone who engages in the Torah and exerts in it, Lishma, is strengthened in the Torah when he needs it. So he will have courage and strength so it may protect him at a time of need. From which place does he receive the courage and strength to be strengthened? From 10 rulers, the 10 commandments in the Torah, which are high rulers in which one is strengthened in this world and in the next. All the secrets of the world and all the mitzvot and all the wisdom above and below depend on them, and everything is included in them. And all is in the Torah. Happy is he who engages in the Torah, to be strengthened in courage in the next world.
שבת אחים גם יחד. שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב. שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב. שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד.
בקשר לשאלה שלך אני אגיד לך, יחיד ורבים בתוך האדם.
About your question, I'll tell you, the individual and the many in man are gar and zat. That's usually either the kelim of bestol against kelim of reception. We will talk about that.
לילה טוב.
Good night.